y'all. I'm here starting our live. Um, Happy February, happy 2026. Trying to get my setup here. Same as the last times. I have to do this on my phone and then have it all jankily set up on my computer. I should find a new way to do this, but as far as I can tell, I can only schedule these on the app and then I have to do them on my phone, not my computer for whatever reason. I don't know. Substack, I'm still figuring out the kinks. Anyway, hi everybody. Thank you for being here for my third Q&A. First Friday's Q&A, my first one of 2026. We're in February, and it's looking like quite an eventful year so far. I'm excited to share with you guys. So thank you for being here. If you're watching this at a later date, please uh, send me any questions that you might have for the next Q&A or put comments in the comment section on Substack. I'm happy to chat there too. So hi, everybody. I'm Abby, and I'm here to answer some shui and other related questions today. So I did have a couple come through, and if you're on live and you want to write one in the comments, go for it. I would love to answer anything live here, or like I said, you can send them to me throughout the month, and I will try to get to them here. So let's see. February, we are rounding out 2025, and we are not quite into the new Lunar New Year. And I have had a few questions about that, about the fire horse year and what that means, and the energy of it and how that all works. So a quick overview is the Lunar New Year is something that is celebrated all over many Asian countries. And in Chinese astrology, they put an animal and one of the five elements with it, and then that represents the year. So we're coming out of a snake year and into a fire horse year. So fire is obviously a very active element, and a horse is also a very active animal. So we're going into a year of a lot of movement, a lot of activity. We're coming from a year of shedding, of letting things go, of redeveloping, redesigning ourselves, and we're moving into a year of being ready to run with whatever those ideas and sheddings were. So as we move into this year, I think most of us are going to notice like a quicker pace. We're not going to have to wait as long for things to happen, which none of this is positive or negative. It just is what it is. Sometimes that's great, and sometimes that can be challenging. Same with the year of shedding. Sometimes that's great. Sometimes that can be challenging. Um, I think the thing to remember in all things shui and all things in life is that there's always two sides to every coin. There's always a yin to the yang. And when we look at this fire horse energy, we can take it as, you know, moving into new areas of business that we haven't gone to yet, moving quickly through areas that might have caused us hurdles before. Just imagine a horse being able to, jump through things. Imagine a fire being able to get through obstacles that maybe we wouldn't have to, otherwise. So we're moving into a year where it's going to really push us in that way. It's going to push us in a way of growth and movement. It's a great year for getting started on projects. Fire is, the activity, the when we're in the zone of everything and everything is just going gangbusters and we're on fire, that's the energy of fire. So a fire horse year is going to feel like that. It's going to feel like we're getting a lot. But don't let it burn you out, of course. Make sure that it's a time that we need to focus on self-care, making sure that we're really taking care of our bodies, our minds, our mental health, all of that, because there will be a lot of changes drastically going quickly. So we just want to make sure that we are staying focused. So the New Year starts September, oh my God, February 17th. and it'll go throughout the month. So you can kind of celebrate the whole month of just getting ready for this new energy. Red flowers in your house on the 17th is a great way to celebrate. And obviously, there's tons of red flowers around for Valentine's Day. So you can grab some of those red roses and put them in your house for a different reason. So again, it's always just inviting energy, having intention, inviting abundance, letting go of last year and letting in the new year. I find the Lunar New Year is a little easier for me to celebrate than our calendar New Year because January 1st, coming right after the holidays, coming when it's a little bit of a quieter time. Here, this is a time of year where it starts, we start getting an inkling of spring, even though it's in the middle of winter. We have warm days and things start growing. So it's like spring is on the horizon, even though we still are in midwinter. But I think for me, it makes it like I can think more clearly about a new year this time of year as opposed to the very beginning of our actual calendar year. So I like to think of it as the Lunar New Year sets the stage for spring, and spring to me is kind of like where all the new beginnings happen. So um, think of it that way. And my mentor, Amanda Gibby Peters, has tons of tips and ideas for Lunar New Year. You can go to her website or follow her on Instagram. But she's always posting really fun stuff that you can do to celebrate the new year. But yeah, a few super easy things are red flowers and a bowl of oranges is always good to welcome in that juiciness of the new year. So I hope that gives you like a little teeny tiny snippet of what it means to move into a new lunar cycle and how you can celebrate it. Um, but it also goes with one of my other questions that I was asked. Somebody asked me if I could explain the five elements and how we can represent each in our home. So, some of you may be aware, and many of you might not, that in feng shui we use the five element system. So this is a little bit different than the astrological elements. These five elements start with the water cycle. So I like to think of the water cycle as life and death. It's basically where if you're, like in utero, you'd be in water. You're getting ready to be birthed. So this is when you have an idea and you're just starting to um, think about it. This is when you're journaling. This is when you're going internal. The time of year represented by this is winter. So if you find yourself, you know, um, journaling a lot during the winter, quiet, like going more inside of yourself, looking inward, there's more stillness and quiet. This is the beginning and the end of the cycle. So the way to represent this in your home, anything that is water, like a water fountain, anything that is a dark color. So, water is not necessarily represented as much with like turquoise blues of like the ocean, but more like with a stillness of a deep lake. So, like, think indigos or like dark purples, a starry night, something like that, something really dark and soothing. It's represented, yeah, like I said, by anything that's actual water. So, like a water feature, it's represented by mirrors. Um, Spots where this lives really well are the very front center of your house is your career and self identity. That is a great spot for some darkness, like a dark entry mat, maybe like a wavy, wallpaper, a let's see, like a dark piece of art, something like that. Any of those are great for representative of water. And this is an area that we want to work when we want to work on self care. Activities that you can do to bring more water into your life are taking baths, actually being in water in nature, sitting in a quiet stillness and journaling, like I said. Anything that's just really looking inward would be a great way to Bring a little bit more water into your day-to-day life. And then if you think of the cycle as like a circle, let's just say that water's here, and then the next one we're going to go to is wood. So if you think of how a plant needs water in order to grow. So water starts wood. And then vice versa. Wood takes away a little bit of the water because the plant needs to take some of the water so it can start growing. So just so you're getting the idea of how this works as we move around the cycle. And this is something that takes a long time to get all of the ins and outs of. I'm just going to go through it quickly and hopefully this brings some interest to you. And if you want to delve deeper, there's, tons of information online. Just make sure that you're following the right sources because sometimes things can get a little weird out there. But if you have any questions, please reach out. So, a lot of people think of wood as the beginning of the cycle because this is when the seed is germinating, when you have that little baby bud, something is starting to grow. If it's the baby in utero, this is the baby being born. If it's a plant, this is the sprout. If it's a book, this is your very first writings. So, this is the beginning of the creative cycle. You're beginning to put your ideas that you had in water into fruition, so into wood, into something into the world. So this is new beginnings. This is growth. This is when things are starting to unfold. So this is represented by greens, by plants. If you wanted to use this in an area of your space, a super simple spot would be, let's see, family new beginnings, which would be the left, let's see, left second one back of the tic-tac-toe board. So if you're looking like this, if this is career, it would be here. Um, so this is represented by spring. This is when spring is springing, things are happening, life is going on. We can represent this in our homes with botanical prints, with actual plants, with greenery, in terms of what we can do to bring the set. So this is anything that is like starting anew, right? Like anything that represents new beginnings pushing forward, that would all be wood related. And then after wood, so we have wood and now we have fire. So, like I said, fire horse, this is where we're going to move into in this lunar cycle. We need wood to build a fire. And again, fire takes away some of the wood because it needs it to grow. So fire, again, I mean, we know what fire energy feels like. It's a lot, it's a lot going on. Let's see, if this is childhood, this is, you were in utero, then you were a baby, now you're in childhood. You can imagine a child's energy just running around. This is when you have started writing the book. Now you're like totally on fire. You're writing it. It's just coming to you super easily. You've started your business and this is when it's flourishing. This is the time, like your adolescence, you're just like growing and everything is just happening so fast to you. That would be representative of fire. So in your home, this would be fame. In the fame gua. So if you think of the back of the 9 in the middle, so here's where we started, then we went here, then we went here. We're in the very back of the tic-tac-toe board. So fire is represented by reds, neons, anything super bright. Animal prints like silks. Well, silk can kind of be more than one thing, but anything that is fiery, bright, fun, those are all representative of fire. You can use that in that back gua to really amp up that fame energy, but you can use it, you can wear it, you can, you know, bring it out into the world when you need to add a little extra energy, a little extra oomph to anything. Um, so this would be, active movement, like if you're into running or something like that, that would be like a fire, that would be representing fire. So anything like that that is really active in your body can help promote more fire energy. And okay, then we start moving into the next cycle, and we're going to go from fire to earth. So if you think of a fire as it dies down, it creates the ashes create the earth. So, and then the fire creates the earth takes away the fire because it can put out the fire, etc. Anyway, all those things, I'm just trying to teach you the creative cycle because you'll hear a lot in feng shui of like, oh, if you have too much blah, 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 maybe you need more of this. That's because of the creative cycle and how one can take away a little bit of energy of another or add to a little bit of energy of the other. So that's kind of a background of that. Um, anyway, going back to this, trying to keep this short. We're in Earth. Earth is kind of like middle age. Now we're just like, everything is chill. We've got it all figured out. We've moved through adolescence. We're not moving as fast. We're grounding. We're safe. We're feeling really good in who we are and what we're doing. So we've written the book. We've done all the things. We put out our book in the fire stage and it was going gangbusters. And now it's just like going along. It's going great. We're like, okay, life is good. I'm in a set spot. I don't need a ton of movement right now. I'm comfortable. So that is representative of Earth. This would be just like a low couch that just feels really cozy. This would be earth tones, all earth, all human skin tones. Um, Anything that is clay or made from earth, anything that is round, all of those things are going to help represent earth. And a spot in your home that really loves earth is love and relationships, which is the back right gua. Um, and that's also a representative of a head of household female. If you're looking at the bagua and want to know who is represented where, a lot of my listeners tend to be female and tend to be the head of their household. So this is an area that is really important for all of those people. Um, this area, yeah, really, really loves also really loves Earth. So you can represent that in the ways that we just went through. And then as far as in your life, doing things that are just really grounding you to the earth. So whether that is spending time outside, in meditation or walking barefoot or going to the beach, anything that is putting you in nature on the ground, that's a really grounding activity. Anything that's really putting you into your soul is really grounding activity. So, those are the ways to bring some extra earth energy into your life. And then once we move from earth, we are moving to metal. So as Earth gets compacted, it is made into rocks, and those are made into um, geodes and metal and different things that are representative of metal. So metal energy is very concise, very true. So if you think of this as your life cycle, this is when you are an older person and you're thinking back on your life and you're saying, oh, maybe I would like to do this um, in my final act or whatever. You're looking back on things and making adjustments and being and turning into exactly what you want. So this is the energy of editing. If this is your book, this is the second version. This is when you went back and said, okay, version one was great, but I really should have done XYZ. So we go back, we perfect, and that is what the metal energy represents. This is represented by um, whites, by neutrals, by pale colors, by circles, by anything metal. You know what I think? I think I just said that Earth was circle too. Sorry, I misspoke. Earth is a square. Sorry, um, and metal is round or a ball. Um, let's see where to put this in your house. Let's see. One spot would be in helpful people in travel, which is the front right gua. So you can use round things, you can use metal objects, you can use heavy objects. Um, Anything around there would give you metal energy. So again, this is the energy of editing, the energy of um, being very precise. So some activities that would bring this energy would be editing your closet, would be anything like that. That's all metal energy. Anything that is you getting better at something, you spending time perfecting a craft, learning how to, play the piano and really, really playing it over and over so you have that one thing down. That would be metal energy. So then once we pass metal, we go back to water. So metal is a conduit for water. So now we're back into water. And if you think of it as the end of the cycle, this would be when, the flower withers and dies. This would be when we go back to the earth, back into the water, into back in utero, if you will, into the stars. Um, that is how it all works out. And so when we're talking about anything, when we're talking about the elements, or if you ever watch any of my videos where I'll point out like the 5 elements in a room, or we can find the elements in anything. You can find the elements in personalities. You can find the elements in clothing choices, in activities, in our homes, in our environments. Um, it's something that is always surrounding us. Tisha Morris wrote a really great book about this. Let's see if anyone is interested. Um, check out her work. I highly recommend it. So, also Tisha's awesome. She she lives in Ojai too, so we love Tisha. Um, but yeah, that's my quick overview. I know that's like a lot for a Q&A, but since somebody asked, I was like, all right, let's just throw it out and we'll do kind of a quick overview. And I know it's a ton, so please, you're welcome to ask questions, and um, I'll be here. Okay, so let's switch gears. All right, I have a question about space clearing. I know this is something that a lot of people look to feng shui for. This is definitely not like my forte. This is not how I practice shui as much as some other practitioners, but it is something that I think is really important to understand and to have in your bag if you come across a time where you're like, what am I going to do here? The energy just seems really stagnant, really heavy. So there are so many different types of space clearing, from anything from Native American smudging, which I am not a Native American and I'm not a smudge expert, so I don't share that wisdom. But I'm sure many of you have seen people doing that and are familiar with what that is and how that works. So using sacred herb, often sage, you can do space clearing using smoke, and that helps move energy out of a space. It's scientifically proven that smoke from sage clears tons of stuff out of our air. So it's really no surprise that native wisdom has been there forever and they've been using it. So if that's something that you are looking into, I highly recommend sourcing it from um, Native American spaces. So we're not using what's not ours. I think that it's really important to have reverence for plants and for those that came before us and what they have done with our sacred medicines. So again, I am not an expert in that. That's why I don't teach that and I don't really talk much about that. But I know space clearing is something that's really interesting to people and something that they're very curious about. So there are other ways to space clear without smoke. So people might not want to use smoke for many reasons. If you're not comfortable with it for whatever reason, you can use a couple of options. One is you can create an orange room spray. So you'll just get some distilled water and put it in a little spray bottle, and then you will put um, some orange essential oils in there, and then also some orange peels. Put that all in your bottle, let it sit for a little while, and then spray it throughout your room, and that will do, a similar clearing. Obviously, each plant has its own um, medicine. Each thing that we bring in has a different purpose. Oranges are really uplifting and have a tendency to be most people view them as positive. Most people like the scent of them. Most of the time, that gives like an uplifting feel to a home, no matter who is in it. A lot of times, when you're considering a space clearing, you might be either having like maybe your home just feels a little bit heavy. Maybe you've gone through something recently and you just feel it in your environment. Maybe someone has moved in or out of the space that you're in and you want to have, like a new tone to it. Maybe you're moving into a space that had some predecessor chi, meaning whoever lived there before, that is, not what you want to feel for whatever reason. These are times that it would be really great to do a space clearing. So, what we're doing is just kind of setting the tone to say, hey, I want to claim this space as mine. I want to let go of whatever has been here before, and I want to bring my energy into this space and let all the other energy go. That would be kind of the purpose of it. And when we would want to do that would be when we're feeling pretty good. We don't want to go into a space clearing with a negative attitude, or when we're sick, or when we're feeling low energy, because space clearing can take a bit of energy to do, and when we're trying to infuse our energy into a space, we want to make sure that it's our best and highest good. So we want to make sure we're doing that in a positive way and in the right time. So one space clearing that I always recommend, because it is super easy, it's extremely accessible, it requires really no knowledge, it just requires you. So it's basically a salt clearing, and all that we're gonna do for this salt clearing is get a small to medium bowl. So I'm not talking about like a salad bowl. I mean, I'm not talking about like a serving bowl or anything. We're talking about like a dessert bowl, or, something that you might put, I don't know, olives in or something, like a small bowl. Get a bowl, fill it at least halfway with salt. Any type of salt is okay. The more natural, the better. Don't use ionized salt, but anything else is great. Pink Himalayan salt is great. Sea salt is great. Whatever you have should work great. You probably already have this in your house. Just fill a small bowl. Leave that somewhere. If you're not sure where you want to leave it in the middle of your house. Um, Leave that out for up to 24 hours, not longer than a day. And then I want you to throw that out outside of your home when you're done, because what that does is it absorbs anything in your home. All the energy is going to be absorbed into that salt. That's why we don't want to leave it there more than a day, and that's why I wanna discard it outside of your house. So you're just saying, "All right, anything in here that doesn't belong here, anything in here that's lingering, just go into this bowl. I will let you go." It's super simple. That's like something that anyone can do. It doesn't have to be a big ritual. It can just be something that, maybe you start doing it monthly. Maybe you do it on the new moons. Maybe you do it quarterly. Maybe you do it whatever feels right for you. You can't do it too much, you can't do it too little. It's a very mild, very simple way to let go of stuff in your home. And like I said, it doesn't require like all the things of like the five elements do. This is much simpler. So that is one that I teach to everyone. Again, there are tons of different types of rituals and clearings. I think it's really important to have a practitioner help you if you want to do different ones. I know there are a ton of information. I see people online all the time. Oh, I got some feng shui information from AI. Obviously, our world is absolutely bursting with information, but what the information means and when to use it is not always clear when we don't have somebody who understands a little bit more, walking us through it. So that's one clearing that I share that I think is super easy that anyone can use, and there we don't need to know a lot about different things. There's no chanting or anything involved in it. It's just you're putting it out with the intention of letting things go. So that's the important part. So I hope that helps. Okay, let's see. Back in December, we had talked about explaining how to bring more chi in the front door. Oh, okay, cool. Yes, 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 yes. So we've talked about front doors on here a little bit. We've talked about door colors a little bit, but bringing in more chi into your front door. Awesome. Thank you, Kat. Um, w- let's see. We'll start with kind of an overview like we talked about before. The front door is what's known as the mouth of chi. So chi just means energy. Chi just means all the stuff that you want to come in to your home. So if you think about the mouth of chi, that is where you're gonna welcome in your guest. I think of chi as like a house guest that you've been waiting to come for a long time. So you're like excited for them to come in. So your guest is coming, you're setting up your space. You're like, oh, yay. Okay, how am I going to get this guest to be so stoked to come up to my front door? So it starts with, what does it look like coming into your home? What does it look like coming up to your front door, whatever that is? So let's say you're in an apartment. What is the hallway like? What jurisdiction do you have outside of your door? Are you allowed to put a little mat out there? Can you put something on your door outside? Can you have a welcome sign on your door? Can you have something next to your number? What can you do outside to make sure that it's like, oh, this is so and so's home. This is where I'm going. Um, maybe you can't. Can you do it on the inside if you can't do it on the outside? If you have, you know, uh your house is on a road and you have a walkway up, what does the walkway look like? Is it clear? Is it very noticeable that like that's the front door, that's where you're going? If someone's never been to your home, they know exactly how to get in the front door. If UPS is dropping something off, they understand this is, number 619. That's my number. If they if someone is trick or treating, they know that's the door to go knock on to get the goods, right? That's what you're looking for. So when we say bringing in more chi, that's what we mean. We mean bringing people or energy to your front door. So, however, you can do that from whatever situation you have, getting it to your front door. Then, at your front door, what interest can we have there? Can we paint it? Can we clean it? Can we put some things on the side? Can we have a mat? Can we have good lighting, up lighting if it's dark? Um, Many, many, many ideas, but just think of what what represents you in this area, what represents your family. The only caveat to that is please don't put your family name on a mat. We don't want anyone to be, stepping on our names. So we don't want anything like that on the mat. If you want to have your name, have it up. Um, so that is the first step. First step is clean, uh, just like think of it as like a neon sign being like, this is the front door. Come on in. So, however, we're going to do that. Is it plants? Is it lanterns? Is it, a beautiful rug and then a nice mat that says welcome? Is it a sign on the door? Is it a wreath on the door? Is it some kind of swag on the door? That now, when we're moving into the house, we can put bells on the front door handle. This is one thing that helps. Vibe, bring up the chi, yang up the the area. Um, we have bells on the front door. We have another entry mat when we come inside, so it's like a soft landing when you come inside. We're enticing the chi to come to our front door, come in and meander through our home. So we want to say, this is where you enter. Now please come in and stay a while. So having a kind of a landing spot when you come into your front door. Maybe you don't have like a mudroom or something, but do you have a space where you could have a small console table where it's like that's where you would take off your shoes or leave your keys or put your coat or something like that. Imagine she is a guest and you want them to come in and feel content and welcomed. So, same with every day that you come in or any of your other guests come in. Do you feel welcomed into your house? Do you feel rushed? Do you feel that there's no space to put anything? How can we reconfigure, redesign to make it like a softer landing when you come into the house? That is the number one part about bringing in more chi. It's creating a space that a door that that begs to be open, and then once it's open, a space that wants to be stayed in. So, some of the things that I think we talked about before also are when we're working with chi, we're always trying to slow it down and get it to meander around our house. So, things like a door facing a window or a door right when you come in, we don't want the chi to come in. Imagine it's a guest. It comes in and it says, "Oh my gosh, look at your backyard. I want to go out there immediately." And it walks through and leaves. So we love our windows, we love our views, but how can we encourage movement throughout the space and not just movement out into our yard or whatever we see outside of those windows? So we're just always trying to create a soft landing. We're always trying to create interest. My mentor Amanda Gibby Peters has an amazing story about a client of hers who had a situation where she had rushing cheese. So that means that I don't know the exact situation, but let's just say she had a window that was really close, and so she would automatically want to leave. Um, so Amanda told her put something extremely eye-catching by the front door, so that way people can't miss it, right? So let's say you walk in and you had, like, a really beautiful piece of art, or you have, like, an intricate rug or whatever it is, something that just, like, stops someone and says, "Oh, wow, look at this." So this woman decided to put a giant phallus which I think is, hilarious, and I would just love to see this home because that just sounds, like, so funny. And Amanda said, "It worked like a charm because nobody could look away when they walked in the front door." So that's what we're doing, and I think I love that too because it's like, always put your own spin on it. What's gonna make you smile when you walk into your house? Because ultimately, your chi matters. You know, your home is built on your Tao, so if your energy is up every single time you come into your house, that's automatically gonna be positive chi all the time. So put a picture that you love when you come into your house. Put something that makes you laugh. Put something that slows you down. You know, is there something where, you want to walk in the door and just take a breath? Can you put a bench there and just sit down for a second when you come home? Um, Whatever it is to you, that would be awesome. Okay, cool. And then Kat said that she usually uses her side door. Okay, that's a great segue because it's always important to use our architecturally intended front door. That doesn't mean that that's what we always have to be walking through as we come in, because the reality of life is that's not how a lot of people's life is set up. Maybe you park on the side and you walk in the side door, or maybe you come up some stairs from the garage, or however it works out. People have different setups, but there is always an architecturally intended front door. So, like I said, where the trick or treaters come, where that is your front door. If that's not where we are moving in and out of, we want to make sure we are at minimum opening that door once a day. So, the more energy and activity that's happening there, the better. So if you're getting your packages and you're going out there every single day to make sure that you're bringing those in, if you're walking out there to sweep, sweeping is, a great feng shui cure for getting things going and sweeping out things that we don't want in our lives. So, doing that as often as we can, walking out, wiping down our front door, walking out and just checking on how does it look here? What's happening out here? If I weren't using the side door and I were using this every day, does this look okay? Is this clean? Is this welcoming? Is this fun? And if you are using a side door, of course, you can do these same things like, a bench or whatever there, but the intention is a little bit different because the intention on a side door is just like your comfort, whereas the intention in a front door is um more creation of energy and chi, if that makes sense. But anything that's gonna make you comfortable and like your home more is always a positive. So if you want to, do the bench, do the things at the side door, I wouldn't recommend something as crazy as a phallic symbol by the side door because that's not where we're trying to get all of the attention. But but for the front door, I think it is appropriate. All right, I hope that helps. Um, okay, and I have one more question here, but if anyone else wants to pop any down below, we have plenty of time. Um, okay, somebody said, "Can I apply feng shui and the bagua to my yard?" And yes, absolutely. So the bagua is the life area map in feng shui. There are 8 life areas plus the center. So, um, in BTB feng shui that I practice, it is basically a tic-tac-toe board that is placed over the air, let's say the yard. And it starts with the entrance. So for a yard, if it's say the front yard, I would just consider the entrance like the front area, the front, if there's a street right there, that would kind of be the front of it, and then going towards your house. If it's the backyard, I would say that where you walk from your home into the yard would be the entrance of the yard. Then I would just place the bagua over the yard and then think of those 9 life areas as over that spot. You can also place it over um, your entire piece of property. So, like, let's say your house is in the middle, and then you would say, coming from the street up, you would start with, career there. Then your house would be maybe where the center would be, like where health is ish, and then the back would be maybe fame, just down the middle, and then you'd obviously have the other 6 on the sides. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You don't have to know about the bagua. You don't have to know any of this stuff. If you want to know about it, think I have a bagua on my site, but I have one on Instagram, I know, and you can write me here. I can send you something like that if that's interesting to you. Um, but if you are slightly well versed in feng shui, then you know that there are 9 life areas and you can set it over anything. You can do it macro or micro. You can set it over your desk or you can set it over your entire property. It just shows you where certain energies are in those areas. And I say, it's like it gives you a space to look when you're looking to work on something or when you're looking to remedy something. So when you're having an issue, you can say, "Oh, what's going on in this life area?" And then you can look in that space and say, "Oh, it's really cluttered." Or, "Oh, I forgot this thing just broke in there." And then you can try to fix it, and then that may remedy the situation. As far as for yards, a lot of people use the 5 elements in yards, or you can use a lot of different aspects of feng shui, but the 5 elements is super simple because in a yard, obviously, there's a lot of wood because there's a lot of things growing. But you can use the other elements in strategic ways. You could do a water feature if you want to add more water. You can do bright plants like, fiery reds if you want to add more fire. You can do something like succulents that can add more water. Different shapes and types of plants can represent different elements. And so, depending on the area that it is in a bagua or a purpose that you're trying to fill, if, for example, you feel like your life is so fiery, so crazy all the time, that would be in a space where a lot of times we'd say, "Well, let's add some water to, like, quench that," like, just chill that out a little bit. So again, water features, succulent plants, meandering pathways, dark colored plants or flowers, whatever else we put in there. There's other things you can add to a garden, chimes, gazing balls, statues, things like that can help add other feelings too, because a garden in general, like I said, would be wood, but we can add whatever we want and we can amp up the energy of the wood if we really want to have that be what we're trying to get there, or we can dampen it with other elements if wood is feeling too overwhelming. If that makes sense. Okay, cool. Well, we're at about 10:45, and I think I've chatted my way through my cues. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you find this fun. I know that sometimes something like this where it's just me talking and not so much coming back to me that I don't know if everybody's getting everything that I'm saying. So I'm really hoping that this is educational, interesting, and fun for all of you. Um, I am here for any questions that you'd like. I will be back next month. We'll do another Q&A. So please send me any questions before here and there. And I'll be here on Substack and on Instagram. And I look forward to chatting with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate all your time. And thank you for following me. Thank you for watching.